connection.
Sprint from the start, but consider a 4-hour sprint the most difficult one-day hard enduro race there is.
Seconds.
Settle the nerves.
Then you can see the water in the middle over there. A really bad place to be.
We are off. And lots of connection there on that first corner. Able to get the whole shot. And just getting out, as we mentioned, with that rain. Visibility incredible compared to last year's. So
that's just a hot out in the lead. Looks like they might be under Verona second.
So just a mad scramble getting out, and check the speeds right now. Beautiful shots from the live drone there as the rest of the first 50 getting out of the pit.
Well, he's coming on the inside. I don't think he had a very good start there, but everybody wants to get out into the forest first. And there were those big bottlenecks in the second row lining up now.
And now that second row, a chance for Grant Jarvis to enter into the fray.
So the race is headed out to Busselating again. It should pick them up and see the order will start forming. See who's in front.
Great to see. You talked about just the quality of track right now with a little bit of that rain. Talking to Bolt and other competitors, they say this is a mountain that loves precipitation. So visibility great right now, but just check the blistering speeds. Just a little over a minute into this 4-hour race. So a pack of 4 leading the way as they'll head over to water pipe, Busselating. The big question, it brings up a conversation with Verona, 4-stroke versus 2-stroke. For those new to the sport, Daryl, what are the upsides and downsides?
Well, I think on this kind of riding, I mean, the 4-stroke's got its advantages. And, it's got a nice low-down traction that will put power down to the ground. Slightly heavier than the 2-strokes. Just look at that. That's a really rough section that doesn't look like much. So we've got 2 rear components, 3 rear components.
So about to release the Kraken on row 2. And some great aerial shots here as we're approaching that first check. And now row 2 is off. Keep your eyes peeled for Jarvis.
He needs to get out of this first on road 2. Remember last year he got knocked down. His fuel pump actually came off from the start line last year, and he got to disqualified for some outside out. That's Paul Torres on the inside.
Yeah, you talk about a fuel pump.
Well, the next Graham Jarvis on the inside.
Yeah, Paul Torres, a 700. We're talking 2 and 4-stroke, but the weight of the 700, the Yamaha, just a beast of a bike.
Yeah, he's really worried about the closed section. He thinks he'll be okay everywhere else, but the slippery forest and the back, he's really worried. A lot of rain came down last night.
We talked about it in the opening show, just how great it is that you're seeing riders from all disciplines really start to kind of test their mettle with this mountain.
This is the ultimate test against man and machine, and everybody wants to conquer the Edsberg.
So now jumping out front, a pack of 4 leading the charge.
Going to the trees now. Nothing too difficult here. They're going to make their way along the edge and make their way to Busselating, where we should start getting official signs of the leaderboard. It's all about the first 2 rows, Pat. If you're not in the first 2 rows, the likelihood of you getting to the finish is really slim. I think that was Marcel Vescher.
Yeah, Marcel Hirscher making his way up. Impressive. We were talking about it, how able to keep Graham and really revealing, him getting interviewed about just what he laid out in prologue. He just said flat out, that is the fastest I can go. Anything beyond that, I'm not going to do. And that for someone that's used to going that fast on snow, it just says volumes of the level that the racing is and the speeds needed to do well in the prologue. Number 3 making their way out of the pit.
Some riders going down. Everybody so far on the first 2 rows has got out really nice and cleanly. We've seen lots of action here this uphill before, and the next couple of rows we should start seeing a little bit of carnage. There we go. Guys are already getting stuck over there, piling up. This is what it's all about. These climbs are brutal. They don't look like much, but they're all hard. There we go. Once the line starts getting blocked up, then you start getting some serious action over there. Guys get jammed up, so yeah. That looks like Tristan Hart's in the lead, followed by Many. That looks like we're running third.
So taking a look where they are on the mountain, that leading group, that pack of 4 just approaching Masalatul. So 2 water pipes. Quick look back by Tristan, the Canadian. It's just maintaining a ferocious pace into that first checkpoint at 27.
You made up the wall real done. And not just in Hart. There's Theodore Kabachi from the whites.
Out of that first line, a very, very tight pack. Checkpoints. Next one will be coming up Arena View into Rocky Raccoon. And it's interesting, Daryl, to reflect back. Back in the day, this first section was a huge challenge. Now, it's just a walkthrough for the sports top riders.
Last year they made a bit of a twist in bus lighting, and there were too difficult for the guys to get up, and it stopped a lot of them from getting further into the track, so they made it a lot easier.
Next row making their way out. As you pointed out, Gerald, deeper we go back in the rows, a little bit more connection carnage we expect to see. All these features start to back up. It's your typical Harrisburg traffic. Just the agony. And so many of the riders, especially deep in the pack, privateers, it really speaks to the type of event Harrisburg is. You have privateers, the juniors, everyone bumping bars together. The sports elite. But look at that leading group now approaching the other side of the reservoir. Used to be bathtub, and I'll look down some great drone shots here. Herculean effort on our production team. 27 cameras, helicam, drone cam, and it doesn't take a village, it takes a city. Over 200-person team bringing you the coverage this year's Harrisburg Rodeo.
I think that is Tristan Hart in the lead.
So it looks like, yeah, incredible back and forth as Lettenbichler in the lead, followed by Tristan Hart. Verona still in that mix, dropping now to 4th. Osawi, and just some lead changes on the fly. We expect a lot of that. We talked about the depth of contenders. There's so much talent within the top 10, top 15, top 20. Throw the juniors into the mix, a little extra hunger. Tristan Hart still And that top now, Lettenbichler taking the lead as the next row is off. So looking back, a couple of slow-mos of that start, just showing the intensity and melee.
There's some great shots of our front row start. Look at the lines on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Shocking. Pretty bolt going down there on that. That's what happened to him in the start. That's why he fell back. Pretty bolt went down. A lot of place you want to crash. Not that early in the race.
Well, one of the reasons that all the fans love Billy Gould too is his, I would say, reckless approach, but it's all or nothing. Just qualifying is a feat in itself. Finishing, that's a whole other story.
Well, there's still a long way to go. Yeah. This race hasn't even started.
Really fortunate that we got the...
But I think the day is perfect today. It doesn't look like there's any rain looking outside. The track's going to start to dry up a little bit, but for sure it's going to stay wet in the forests. Those sections I had a look at around Cuckoo's Nest are going to become really, really difficult.
So the Zentrum M there, the next feature, that leading group, some incredible back and forth with Manuel Lettenbichler, Tristan Hart, and the rest of the field. Ozawi staying in the mix. I'd love to see how tight this battle is. We're seeing too, Manny actually enjoys that ability to reel in and stay with someone, staying in pace.
Yeah, you can see what your competitors are doing. Keep your eyes on them and watch them. Look, maybe they've taken the wrong line and you can choose a better line. It's all about staying at the front before you get into those really difficult sections. Centrum on Berg, they've got really, really steep uphill. They're going to turn right. It used to be Three Kings. And, you know, you've got to commit 100% at the bottom to get all the way to the top. It's quite rutted. There's quite a steep finish to it. Yeah, and you're going to turn around at the top and come back down.
Talk about that in terms of the lead up beyond that first section. You get a little bit of a run-in.
That's just about going through there. Closely followed by Manny. Ozawi in third. A Nigeria GP World Champion running fourth. But he was made up nicely. He's in fifth at the moment. Tierno Kubachev in sixth. Colton Heck in seventh. Manny Green in eighth. William Boy in ninth.
So talking about Matty Green, that brings us into the junior discussion. Look, how about the talent that we're seeing? Just, is that testament to the future and the growth of the sport?
Marshall Tierno Kubachev coming through there. There's Billy.
So these juniors, are you... Pretty impressive.
I mean, we've got the young guys coming through now, and there's a whole bunch of them. We're going to talk quite a bit about them today. We've got Clem helping them getting involved with the juniors. Billy Bolt is their mentor, and Billy was telling me that there's a whole host of them coming through, and we're going to be talking about them a lot today. Matty Green just won the first round in Extras, currently leading the Junior World Championship.
Unbelievable. As we look at the gaps between our top three, narrow margin. Tristan Hart still out in front, but Lettenbichler a mere 15, 20 feet behind, staying in step with Hart, the 100 Canadian.
This is a hard enduro motocross at its best, Pat. I continue now, these guys are just doing everything they can to get away from the pack and get an advantage. They need to clean every single section. Each time they get stuck, it just sucks a little bit of energy, and they want to save as much as they can because the second half of this race is going to be brutal. They're only going to get worse.
Those features, you're just checking into the reservoir of stamina and strength. By the time you get to something like Carl's Dinner and the other features, you're just completely spent.
This may look easy on camera, but it's really, really difficult, and that's where you don't want to be. Running all the way down, you've got to miss the guys that are coming up. Wait your turn again and try to clear it.
So Tristan Hart still out front, followed by Lettenbichler. Now Tristan Hart, FIM currently in fourth. AMA Extreme Champion back in 2021, and the remaining rows taking off 15 minutes in.
Oh, running really wide around the Red Bull boy.
So the final fifth row of 50 there.
That's only 250 compared.
And Manny and Hart still at it. Hart in eye shot of Lettenbichler. You can see them approaching the next feature up. Just shows you just the vastness of this course, 22-mile plus course.
Okay, they headed into some really difficult forest sections over the coast of Hart.
Bull steady and climbing now just outside the top three. So Billy Bull showing that ability to reel it in. Discussion about what's at stake for each competitor. You make that row of, the first 500 that are allowed to compete on game day here. But for an amateur, just getting past the first two features.
It's a really good accomplishment. That's Johnny Walker coming through there. Looking really good. Not as high up as he wants to be. He's going to try to catch the leaders.
Johnny Walker coming back solid from injury. Says he's not at 100%, but was looking awfully spry, awfully fast in the prologues.
He was so amped to ride this morning. He just wanted to get on his bike.
Now the discussion is 10 to 15 deep.
Yeah, I got the top 10 and I couldn't choose one, It's like really anybody's race. However, Manny and Tristan are up in front. And man, they're going to motocross the whole way. They're going to stay together until something happens. Let's see who comes out first. I'm super keen.
Well, if it's any indicator, the raid on Eisenair, as I spoke to a lot of fans, a good chunk of those fans rooting for Tristan Hart. So for good reason, as we see he's off to a great start. That leading group, still a tight battle for first and second between Manny Lettenbichler and Tristan Hart.
This is the forest section I was telling you about. See how many of those tiers they have to climb? They are brutal. You got to clean each one of those. If you get stuck, you end up pushing, the lead can change there. Let's see what happens.
Well, and I think, too, we've seen years past, the first hour of competition by no means is an indicator of how the podium is going to end up. Still so much mountain to tackle here.
They say it's not over till it's over, Pat.
And a couple of adjustments on the approach to Ayersberg this year. No help throughout the entire course, and not allowing the competitors to walk the course.
That's right. So nobody had a look. Nobody's been able to pack any routes or anything like that. The crew are not allowed to follow them. They've got a tank point.
And we've seen that too at Carl's dinner, where someone in their crew kind of mapping out the line, trying to avoid those holes.
And a lot of riders are happy for it because it makes it fair for everybody.
Of the remaining 500 continue to unload as the battle for the top of the pack still tight and contentious with Tristan Hart, Manny Lettenbichler.
You can see how hard the top line just blitz through that to make it look like a gravel road, really. And you can see now, the level at the moment in hard enduro is the highest level that I've ever seen. Keeps on progressing, the bikes keep getting better, and I took a ride out here yesterday with Holtz, and I had a look at some of the stuff, and I can tell you now, man, it's absolutely insane.
Did you get a chance to feel the dirt in a way?
I did. I put it hard. I must be honest, I was quadrupling all the way down. I got it wrong on one of the climbs, and I got a fresh taste of Pittsburgh dirt.
It's good to know, even these days. This mountain definitely has a humbling factor.
I was well and truly humbled yesterday. Another humbling section is this. this is what I'm talking about. It is super difficult.
Yeah, the upside of that rain is the visibility factor in the bottom of the pit, the Coliseum, if you will, but making things that extra slick, all those roots.
Manny's in front.
Yeah.
Okay, so Manny's just ahead of Tristan now.
Taking that moto methodical approach. Both Bull and Leckbichler are so precise the way that they can navigate these technical sections, and Tristan Hart still in the mix here.
We've seen Buddy Bolt dominate the Super Enduro, and it's no surprise that he's there. He's going to blitz his way. He's not going to be happy until he gets into front, into the lead. Carnage, absolute carnage. The guys are not letting him coming down. They're going to start jamming up the upline and block Marcel Hirscher.
Just trying to make it on that first climb. Yep, Centrum Hamberg and
That's not good.
Walker.
The top's been blocked. There's Marcel Hirscher.
Yeah.
He's going to try and turn it around and go back down. Or is he, how close is he to the top? Is he going to make it, do you think? No, I think he's going to go back down and try again.
So great to see the passion and the love of moto of Marcel Hirscher, two-time Olympic gold medalist.
A lot of people will come and try the mountain once and they won't come back, but here Marcel, he wants to, he's not going to give up until he gets to the finish line.
Curious to see how Hirscher is going to handle the snow later on the course. There's a section that there's still a wide patch of snow that one needs to navigate.
And it's on we come out of the forest and it's on a steep downhill. We saw Wade sliding down there a couple of years ago. And yeah, I'll be keen to see what Marcel does there.
Hirscher trying to get some run up here.
Okay, we saw the guy jammed up at the top just now, so if he doesn't have a clean run, he's not going to get out. Let's hope that it's open for him.
And the bottleneck starting to snare up. Centrum Hamberg. Hirscher, second attempt here.
He's got some good momentum. Yeah, he's up and over, he's out. A little bit of a rut there, a little bit of pushing, but yeah, he's out. Centrum on board. What a great effort. It's never too late, but maybe we should interview next
Well,
week.
you know what? You talk about the progression of the bikes, the tires. Tires have made a huge difference. The bike evolution. And it is that sport. You were talking about before we came on air, back when you were competing, you would never dream of someone in their 50s. But you look at like Graham Jarvis, 48 years old, and the silent assassin is still a threat.
Yeah, to be riding at his age at this level is actually a phenomenon.
So watching closely, Wade Young, some dropping back and forth. But still, it's Leckbichler, Billy Bolt in second, Asawi in third, and Tristan Hart now just outside of the top three.
That Shoko coming through there. Cody Webb. That's Cody Webb coming through there.
Utilizing that lengthy, tall frame. One of the
David Cyprian, looking good.
And this was the section we saw a little tangle and a pass with Billy Bolt able to get into the mix, passing Tristan Hart. So now Bolt in the top spot as Leckbichler falls, watching Cyprian make his way through the first four section. And the distance between our leaders, Leckbichler.
Lexi's taking the lead from Bolt again. I think this is how it's going to be motocrossing backwards and forwards.
An elastic lead change we expect as we're only 26 minutes in, 4 hours allotted to finish Erzberg.
Last year's finish time was a little over 3 hours. It was brutal. So a long way to go.
Well, we heard Rob Warner talking about being there at the finish line and just how mentally, physically exhausted Leckbichler was. for Billy Bolt. Had that crash right from the get-go, but what did Billy do that enabled him to reel in the leaders?
That's unlucky.
Billy Bolt finds success at Ayresberg.
37% through the course at the moment. 13.5 kilometers traveled of around 32 kilometers. Tristan Hart's dropped down to 4th. And Alzawi's moved up to 3rd. Okay, Verona there, getting stuck. So, big difference between classic enduro and hard enduro. He got out the quarry really well, started to jump back a little bit now.
Well, it brings up the discussion, 14 seconds faster than anyone else on prologue, but it's that four-stroke, two-stroke conversation, not as doable on the bike, and that's where it starts to get that much more difficult.
But look at the way Minnie and Minnie are handling these bikes. There's definitely a massive step between classic enduro and hard enduro, and that's why this sport commands so much respect. Anybody that rides a good bike and does this kind of riding will know what it takes. And if these sections get bad, times it by 5, times it by 10, they are really, really difficult.
Just the deft approach and then almost the light way that they're able to navigate this. It's very, very deceiving.
Really putting a little bit of a gap there. The machine used to be the start of the old no-help zone. Now the entire course is a no-help zone. I mean, the level has just gone up so much. These guys don't really need help. It's all about the track builders though, to try to design a course now that's going to suit these riders.
Well, we talked about it at the top of the show. Carl Kataj always, every year, trying to one-up. And, you know, the one year that he had, when we had the ties, he thought too many people finished. But he's finding that balance. You want to showcase the sport. You don't want to make it too tough where you don't have anyone finish Ayresberg.
Here's Wade Young over there having a little bit of a push out of that section.
Wade Young.
What is Tristan Hart up to? Also struggling a little bit.
5.
Yeah, Minnie and Minnie are pulling a little bit of gap. They got out of this section. Really cleanly.
The difference when you watch the sports elite, the way that they're able to navigate through these sections, just the acumen. They're so shrewd about finding their lines, keeping that forward momentum.
Alzawi going into machine now.
Yeah, the Polish rider, 23 years old. Shot here on this feature here, as we can see both riders stuck in this section. A lot of discussion about this area.
There's Theodore Kubachev coming into the training bottom there.
Yeah, what they were going to do to change it up. All these riders completely blind coming into the course this year. Normally they'd allot some time and days for them to walk certain sections.
Look at Wade Young going past Theodore Kubachev, making a really, really good ground. Johnny Walker just behind him.
KG, South African.
That was a good line. Wade wants to win this. He wants to get out in front. So Alzawi is up to 2022 Super Enduro Junior World Champion. No stranger to Ayresberg. 4th overall. Michael Wagner has also moved up into 5th place. And Wade Young just behind him in 6th.
So now Alzawi just out of the top 3. Tristan Hart in 3rd, Billy Bolt in 2nd for the moment. And there's a look. Eyes on our leader, Manuel Lettenbichler, defending champ. Overall, FIM Hard Enduro World Champ. And wants to go back-to-back here in Ayresberg. And Wade Young, we talk about the comfort, the confidence that we sent from him in the paddock earlier. But how about this pass, Darryl? What do you make of it?
Just a unique line. I mean, that's an insane line that he took there.
It's that smart South African approach.
Yeah. If you make a mistake, you leave the door open, somebody's going to take it.
Notable mention too, Wade Young looking extra healthy, been very, very focused on the regiment, the training component.
It's everything. You've got to have the whole package. You've got to eat right, you've got to train right, you need your sleep. And most of all in this race, you need a little bit of luck. Sucking that energy.
So Mario Ramon currently in 13th place.
That's not where he wants to be right now.
But the Spanish rider's been on a tear. The 32-year-old has been finding success on multiple podiums for Mario Ramon. One of the favorites going into today's event, but when you have the likes of Billy Bull, Andy Lettenbeckler, and now Tristan Hart really battling it out for the top three, doesn't make things any easier. You guys remember the Crooked Elevator, this same location, and as we pointed out, of course, different every year. We're on a working mine. Sometimes you come back, the whole section is completely green hell, completely buried.
We used to ride up the elevator on the left-hand side and zigzag our way up, and at one point you had to switch back and jump across it. And everybody was always terrified because if you slid down, you would probably end up at the bottom of the mountain.
How wide were your eyes wide open when you first laid eyes on Arisberg? You came here from riding in Africa and other events.
No, it's intimidating. Yeah. There's Matty Green, the first of our juniors coming up there. He's in machine at the moment. He's been living in Italy. He rides for the Rigo team. He's been living in Italy for the last 3 years. He won the junior championship last year. And currently leading it after Extras.
The following this year, going pro, out of the junior ranks.
Juniors, yeah. He had to be 21 still at the 1st of January this year. Matty's 22nd now, so he's last year in juniors. Okay, there's another bird coming through there. Alright, so that's Will Hall coming in there, so also a super young talent out of the UK. He was the first guy that didn't finish last year. He finished 9th overall at the 2022 Esberg, missing it only just.
Yeah, you'll be on course. After 4 hours, you'll hear the siren sound, which means everyone out of the mine, time to come home. 4 hours. What an incredible task to work your way through this beast of a course.
Colton Haker's there coming up just behind him there.
Well, Colton Haker, he's a hellion on all things two wheels. Doesn't matter what format, what discipline. One of the promising Americans.
I think Colton's won the prologue before, actually. Super fast, super good in the Eurocross.
And back at Centrum Amberg, and we anticipate much more of this.
Chaos. I think this is where a lot of guys' race is going to end. To get up there is really, really difficult. So being blocked at the top, if your line is blocked. Alright, so the guys are going to be heading now in towards Cuckoo's Nest, which is probably the hardest forest section that I've seen so far. And normally they're bunted off so that there's only the bad line. So I think this is going to be the hardest forest section now.
And it jumps us back to the discussion. Lettenbeckler and Bolt still fighting, going back and forth for that top spot. But they haven't laid eyes on Cuckoo's Nest, so everything is a complete new approach. How much of an advantage do you have when you've looked in a section and you've been able to eye some of the lines beforehand?
No, loads, because if you go into a section fresh and you quickly have to make a split-second decision on the right line, and if you get it wrong, then you're going to have to go back down again and you can lose a position.
Tristan Hart looks like, from our perspective here, trying to reel in and jump into the mix, the top two spots.
Yeah, there we go, 438 meters behind the leading pair. That's a long way in these forests. Michael Wagner, not as good as a start as he had last year.
Well, you know, one of the Austrians' greatest hopes here at Arisberg, Wagner, a veritable rock star when it comes to his performance at Eresberg, but just wants to find the finish and eventually the podium here, but almost back in 17th for the moment, but we're still so early in this competition.
So welcome the machine. This is Verona in picture now, Andrea Verona, a world enduro champ, and you can see how difficult it is.
Well, you know, it brings discussion. One of the fastest and was the fastest this week, but when it comes to the tenacity, the grit, and that trials approach to these sections, it just takes everything out of you.
Also the classic enduro that he's been used to racing, you've got cross tests and you've got extreme tests, quite explosive, and they need to make every second count. Completely different to this.
And just remember, he's only 39 minutes into this race and realizing the savagery that Eresberg is.
Yeah, I'm super chuffed that he's actually doing it because, you know, for somebody like him, he doesn't want to get injured, and he's giving it a go, and hats off to him. I think it's fantastic. There's Brett Swanepoel from South Africa there on the Sherco, and closely followed by Jack Price from the UK. There's Graham Jarvis coming through now from the second row.
Now watch Jarvis go slowly but surely take that steady approach. I call him a fast tortoise because he just comes out of nowhere.
And this is the problem now. He's getting caught up. You can see that he wants to go and he's losing time here. So that's the disadvantage of starting on the second row.
Let me ask you,
There we go. He's making a move there and he's through.
so as he passes with Verona, the discussion about Verona, as fast as he is, what would it take for him to even come close to be on that level of the sports elite when it comes to hard enduro on a mountain like this?
Well, he would have to stop what he's doing and just do hard enduro and concentrate on that. You know, but at his age now and where he is, world champion, he's going to carry on doing the classic enduro, see how many titles he can win, and then one day maybe he might decide to go into this.
So still leading the charge, Bolt, Lettenbeckler.
They're nearing the top of the prologue now, which means they're out of the Cooker's Nest section. They're making a really short work of the course. They're carving it up like it's like a gravel road, and then they're getting onto the gravel road. Short little transition section.
We expect this rivalry to continue between Lettenbeckler and Bolt. The great news for both of these riders, healthy, focused. It was really frustrating any Billy Bolt fans out there when he was dealing with those injuries, and Herschel checking in back with him. Slow and steady, Marcel Hirscher. Another checkpoint, and he's onward. It's great to see these athletes jump from a sport that they've dominated and just have the humility and the willingness to jump into something as challenging as this.
And the sport is so completely different from what he's done and excelled in to come over to this, which is
Cross-training.
complete opposite.
Cross-training on the ultimate level.
Our pros should be going now into Chris's Stone party, so that's the next frustrating when you're in that position.
Frustrating for Graham Jarvis there, but we'll keep eyes closely on Jarvis.
He may have given up one or two positions that he made in the bottom end of the forest, but it's actually clean at this time.
We've seen it so many times with Jarvis that as we get to those more technical, just grueling sections, Jarvis just takes one rider after one rider and slowly can work his way to the top.
All right, let's see if he can make it up this time. No, that's not Graham. You can see the lines are blocked up there, so we'll be waiting for an open line before he heads up.
So the top three haven't changed. A little back and forth between Bolt and Lettenbeckler. Kristen Hart still in third place Tyson, Wade Young as Graham Jarvis smoothly up and over. He'll continue on.
Alright, so the leading group should be going into now to Chris's stone party. There we go. That's what I was talking about.
Getting warm and fuzzy with these two. Hold right on top of Lettenbeckler.
Yeah, as long as they can see each other, they know where they're at. This is the lead.
A chance, too, when you're sitting in that second position to watch what's working for Manny. Also want to keep moving, want to keep that momentum rolling. Watch that front tire going in any holes in front of you.
And those two at that level, if they're struggling like that, then you must know how difficult it is. I walked up there a couple of days ago, and it's really steep, big boulders. But his back was just dropped into one now. There's no line, and nobody's been there packing rocks.
I hear Chris's stony party.
And at this time, at this stage of the race, it's all about managing your heart rate. So you just took a little bit of a breather there. Just trying to manage the heart rate. That's a little couple of seconds here and there just to get the heart rate down again.
When did you realize, in terms of, obviously with this race, but when the trial's influence really became the hugest factor? Those riders with the trials background were the ones that were starting to lead the charge.
Yeah, just pretty obvious when I was doing it. We had off-road experience. We used to go fast. We never had trials bikes really at home. And like Wade too, he didn't start off on a trials bike where a lot of the Brits, that's where they started, the Scottish 6 days and things like that.
You've got that traditional, the trials. I mean, it is, when you talk about hard enduro, it's like whatever nature delivers, hard enduro rides, you have to have every tool in the moto toolbox.
So lots changed over the years. We're wearing super gunny tires now. There's all the different manufacturers have got different rubber that they use, different carbon.
It explains the moose factor. So take a look at some highlights of Boston.
This is Graham at the Vassalati. Oh, there's somebody going the wrong way, getting stuck in the tape.
So earlier today at our first checkpoint, as things continually get harder and harder for the rest of the pack.
Don't come here with a big ego, you'll be humbled quickly.
Yeah, we anticipate much more pile-up and much more carnage, looking deeper in the pack, but a great shot of our two leaders here.
This next section they're running into now is called Udo's Playground. This is where we saw Michael Barker last year coming to shot. They ride along the side of the mountain for a couple of hundred meters, and then they're faced with another steep rocky climb, and it's got some big ledges in it. Gnarly downhill. If they're getting off their bikes, you must know how steep it is. But he stayed on the bike. He's looking for another line. He's going to the right.
Wow, with that.
Made an awesome pass on Manny there.
Yeah, Lettenbeckler taking a slower, methodical approach, stepping off.
The risk of going over bars and breaking the lever sometimes not worth it. But, I mean, believe me, that is stupid steep. Now, this is a section, one of them, that they haven't ridden it, they haven't walked it before. And in the past, maybe the guys would have packed a rock here or there. So towards the top of this, there's a really steep step, almost 3/4 of a meter high. That's going to be interesting for me as they start to get out of Udo's Playground at the top.
Justin Manny just trying not to get tangled in the tape, but very tight.
You can see there, it's taped off, so they're making the guys go up and around a couple of times.
And the love of the sport personified, the pile-ups we're starting to see.
Yeah, I did something like that yesterday. It's so easy to get these time to go.
Wait, whose bike are you on?
Yeah. non-Competian, so I don't think they're too happy with me, but not too much damage, luckily.
Well, got eyes on Billy Bolt and Lettenbichler. And Tristan Hart now in fourth, just outside of the top three.
Looks like Michael Wagner's in third, so we'll have to see if who comes into picture next.
Wagner, the 25-year-old Austrian phenom, if he can maintain and stay pace with these two, it would be huge. A shot of adrenaline.
Well, there's 53%, they're 53% through the course now, but by no means are they finished. The hardest stuff is yet to come.
Slow and steady approach for Bolt.
Try not to make any mistakes. Try to preserve yourself, your body, and your machine. Just having a quick look back to see where Manny is.
You could sense a little extra hunger talking to Billy this week. How badly he wants to find the top spot at Harrisburg.
He's definitely not going to make it easy for Manny.
You know, some good challengers, and as we look back with Wagner and Tristan Hart, with Wayne Young, true American hopefuls here at Harrisburg. Such a talented rider.
Cody took 10 months off to recover from a knee injury, and he came back and he won the King of the Motos last year. So he's in quite good shape. He's not quite there yet, he says, but definitely a contender for today.
So the gap is slightly opening up. Still some movement within our top 10.
I go around the corner a little bit. There we go. This is the start of the brutal uphill.
We have a good look of how far back now. Where's Manny? As we see Bolt. And there's Manny, just the bottom of your screen. Not too much distance. He's going to take a slightly different line here.
So this makes quite a big difference if the riders haven't had a chance to look at it. They don't know what line to take. Manny doesn't really know what the best line is, so he's just going the best way that he thinks. And I think he's changed his mind now. That's going to cost him a lot of time. That's not good. He's going to come back down and he's going to hug the fence line like Billy did.
Realize he actually has to stay on the rider's right of the left fence line.
That's costing him time. That's not good. He's not going to be happy with that. It looked like there was a pathway there. Ended in nothing. That's going to allow Billy to put a bit more of a gap.
Trying to figure the route in real time. Wow.
Lettenbichler just up there? You've got no idea how steep that is.
The fact that Lettenbichler was able to move just even through that 20-foot section there that quick, and he has not seen this section yet.
So where Billy is now, there's the first of the two big ledges that I was telling you about. And if Billy Bolt's pushing his bike, then you must know how difficult it is. The second one is at the top there, where you see the last bit of bunting on the right-hand side. There's the second hole. That's a big ledge. And I think the guy's going to be pushing up there. I think Billy's on his way to it now. He's almost there.
And Bolt doing a great job continuing that movement. And wow, just like that, Manny Lettenbichler.
There's Paul Bolton on the ground with a cam.
Checking in, getting footage and updates from Bolts in the field. Bolt just getting covered there. As Billy hits the gas on that. But
it looks to me like they've taken that big ledge away. It's not there anymore.
I mean, this just illustrates Lettenbichler, his ability to reel in that distance.
Yeah, he's almost made the time back that he lost. He doesn't want to lose sight of Billy Bolt, that's for sure.
And it should be noted, we're watching two of the sport's best, the leaders, the elite, and how difficult it is. Now you take that as we look from Paul Bolts and looking back at Manny and Billy Bull still up top.
Wow, look at the time Manny's made back on Billy. Almost came out there together.
Getting to that checkpoint. And now Manny having to navigate this one last huge step. Massive for the lead. So good news for Alfredo Gomez, previous winner here, now cracking into the top 10. So we were surprised too, just to see him falter and was a little farther back. But this is what we've seen, slow and steady is the route here at Eresberg. Anything can happen with our leaders here. One mishap, one reroute.
I want to see the gap now that these two pulled on our next rider is going to be Tristan Hart, and Michael Bachman is up there. He's made his way back up into 4th place. Wade Young in 5th. Alzawi dropped back to 6th.
Wagner, Austria's hope for the future in hard enduro, just to make the podium would do wonders for hard enduro in Austria.
It's not Michael Bachman, it's Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker's in 4th. My apologies. With Tristan Hart, so Johnny Walker has really made up a lot of time. That's what we want to see. Johnny was so excited this morning. He's going to be super happy to be in 4th right now.
So back at Centrum Amberg, the theme is pile up.
Michael Butler's dropped back to 14th place at the moment. Nettie Green should be around about 11th.
Now Tristan Hart still holding on to 3rd place. Now approaching that line. We just saw Billy Bull and Manuel Lettenbichler decisively move their way through.
Graham Jarvis at the moment is around about 16th place. So it'll be super interesting to see how he manages to make his way through, to what level Graham can get.
It's safe to say it's going to be these sections, Daryl, they're really, as we see Tristan Hart's mom.
I love the heart on her necklace.
She was down at the parade at Eisenhower's in the streets, in the festivities, showing support.
I've never seen the raid on Eisenhower's. It took 2 hours and it still didn't finish. It was absolutely insane.
It was next level this year for sure. Tristan Hart, 25-year-old.
Just in Trinity here last year.
Yeah, and then we should point out too, in terms of momentum, the mental momentum and just the bit where he's at physically. I just missed the podium at X-Ross in Serbia.
Back of the screen there, at the top of your screen now, you can see Johnny Walker coming into the mix.
And Walker, talking to him this week, he talked about his climb back from injury was really focused on the regimen and making sure all the PT, all that hard work, that it was all for naught. And sometimes that's the best way to be in hindsight when you have just more, I would say, relaxed expectations. Because he did, like, how excited was he putting on the kit this morning as we were walking through the paddock?
I've never seen him so excited. It was almost screaming. He was like, yeah, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. Wade Young's gonna come. He's next. So I want to see what the gap is between Johnny and Wade. He's looking back. I've got a feeling Wade Young's gonna drop into the mix quite soon. These guys are just preserving the energy right now. None of them have seen this before. Well, not this year anyway. They would have normally walked these sections, so trying to decide which line to take. they make a mistake, they're going to be angry with themselves, and it's going to cost energy, which they don't want. Near those, they're taking the right line. We mainly decided to turn around and go back. That's the wrong line. They should be on the left-hand side of the barrier tape.
I wonder if he actually realizes that he's
turning around, he's getting the bike around.
Well, you know,
down again.
I think we might see more of this. We saw Manny also go up the rider's right and not hug that fence line.
Okay, so Johnny's going to make a pass here. He's got the right line, the right way. And Tristan's going to have to bring his bike back down, costing him valuable time there. There's the chute that he needs to go up.
And with every mistake, just the seconds add up. Billy Bolt still out front. Manuel Lettenbichler in second. We just saw Johnny Walker move into third place right now. Trying to find a route. We watched Billy and Manny take a little bit.
They're a little
Hug that left line. Yeah,
that's when Billy launched himself up and over. It's so difficult to see on camera because looking from the top it looks flat, but you know, that is like a serious incline and there's lots of big ledges and holes.
So we talk about these critical sections. The most ferocious, brutal one has to be Carl's Dinner. For more on that, we check in.
I have to say, I've been talking to riders all week about Carl's Dinner, but none of it prepared me for this. Just getting down here was a challenge. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like to ride through. That is why Checkpoint 21 is the race equalizer, because not everyone can push past it. Only the best will make it through. As you can see here, they will be riding past these giant rocks and boulders. It's 3.7 kilometers, which doesn't seem like a long distance, but it's the level of difficulty that really makes it a challenge. I was talking to Paul Bolton earlier, and his advice for the riders is to be careful with the gaps, because once you fall into one of these holes, it's going to be very hard to get back out, and you're going to waste a lot of time and energy, which might cost you the lead. That is why anything can happen in Carl's Dinner. You have to be careful and choose your lines wisely, because Carl's Dinner will have no mercy on our riders.
Thank you, Lasna. Yeah, I'll tell you what, in terms of Carl's Dinner, the main entree, savage. It's savagery. It's just brutal on the entire field. And you talk to a lot of the competitors, you know, often they'll say, I just want to make it through. Very few do. And those that even make it through, by the time they do, it's under that just at the 4-hour mark.
Well, we're only at an hour now, and Billy Bolt is about to drop into Carl's Dinner, and we'll be able to see the whole race here. So they've got to go up and down 3 times on the different levels, and we should start seeing the whole race together in one place for the first time.
Still the top 2 spots, battling it out. Billy Bolt, Manuel Lettenbichler, defending champ here in Eresberg. And we see Johnny Walker, along with Tristan Hart, kind of going back and forth for that 3rd spot.
As Billy and Manny both drop down into a series of climbs that's going to take them down to the bottom of Carl's Dinner. They're then going to head up towards Double Fault before they get onto the top line of Carl's Dinner.
What do you make of just the pace these two are holding on to right now?
Well, it's insane. I never thought they would be this far in the race in the first hour. But this is they're motocrossing this. It's absolutely crazy.
Billy tapping into a little redemption.
Most people will get into the bikes and push down here. This is that steep. And to see Billy ride down it is quite something.
That might have been Paul Bolton following Billy here, still waiting on Manny. So I want to keep correct here. Billy, by virtue of getting the top of that last section, was able to pull away, so widening his lead. Anything that can give you the advantage over this guy, Lettenbichler, will help.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a gap. probably 30 seconds at this point as Manny drops down. Seriously under threat. He knows how good Billy is. He knows Billy's injury free at the moment, feeling really good, and he's so good on the technical stuff. I'm dying to see Billy go through Carl's burner now and see what he makes of it.
Just locked up, sliding.
Didn't even if he looks to be right past the Billy down there.
Perfectly navigated. No surprise there. Yeah, Matt Bickler has been awfully light this week. Was that bunny hop contest?
This is the steep one. Yeah, this is the steep one.
No problem for Latin Bickler.
Making it look super easy.
Yeah, such fearlessness. Incredible grit. And back to Udo's with Walker.
And Tristan, coming out with quite close together. So that's our race for third place.
It's going to go back and forth with Walker and Hart.
Tristan's got a little bit jammed up over there, so Johnny's got the jump on him.
Good perspective. This last step, you were talking about just how massive these boulders are just to get to the top of this checkpoint as we watch Tristan Hart trying to muscle his bike up and over the last step.
I think not being able to walk these sections has really leveled the playing ground for everybody. So, you can clearly see these guys don't know which line to take. So they've all tried different ways. And it's a lucky draw, I guess, to choose the right line first time.
Tristan Hart doing an incredible job so far, just over the 1 hour mark of 4. That's allotted for this race. Billy Bull still out front. Another checkpoint.
Billy's going to make his way up to the double faults now as he enters the dinner. Named empty double fault after Graham Jarvis got disqualified 2 years for missing the checkpoint.
Yeah, not to be confused with double fall or double fault line, but yeah.
So if Graham hadn't missed the checkpoint, he would be the most winningest rider here of all time.
He would, Taddy Blazuziak, yeah, eclipse 5 wins. Just staggering when you just digest that. And speaking of staggering, this rock field is just a maze.
So again, riders haven't been able to walk this or back any rocks, and the track holders have made a couple of little chicanes or zigzags over there. Billy going down, launched his bike up there.
Start to see this.
Not often we'll see him till he throws back.
Carl's dinner technically tormenting. It is the ultimate equalizer. Watching the sport's best. And look at the distance now between Bull and Lettenbichler. Right behind, and he's starting to reel in Bull.
This is all about rider fitness and technique now. To clean all these sections, not knowing what they look like. They're going into each little turn and corner block.
And it's been so great to see over the past few years. Manuel Lettenbichler basically taking a page straight out of his dad's playbook. Andreas, this is where he excelled. And Manny is so good at being precise, showing his prowess through these boulder fields, but Bull keeping good pace, definitely putting the pressure on Lettenbichler.
And you'll see there's no runners this year. They're not allowed to run in front of the guys and show them a line. So, just making it that much more difficult and fair for everybody. Got to find their own way through this boulder field. Talking to Andreas last night, Pat, he actually wants to make not a comeback, but he wants to come and do another Hertzberg.
I heard that. He wasn't sure what year, what Manny, I don't know if they made a bet. His he's like, you know what, you win 3, I'll come back maybe when I'm, 50 plus.
If I know that it will be a bet of some
Well,
sort.
I want to point out, Andreas Lackbickler is right around the same age as, I believe, maybe a year younger than Graham Jarvis, so
Yeah.
it is possible.
Yeah, I think Andreas will just want to come do it with Manny. As a father-son, I think to not get to the finish, I think will be fantastic for Andreas.
Looking back at our chasing group, just how far back they are from the lead group here.
All right, there's Tirio Kabachev on the left-hand side, Cody Webb on the right.
Yeah, the second chase group at Ludo's playground. So a little bit of a pile up here.
I think Cody's complaining too much. A chance to just get the heart rate down a little bit.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Cody has the benefit, that tall frame. Kind of use those legs. Accessing maybe a little bit more challenging line that the shorter riders can't navigate. Salwi and Kabachev just bookending Cody Webb right now, trying to make his way through.
So Theodore finished 4th in the overall Hardy Dura World Championship in last year, 2022, just behind Graham Jarvis.
So Cody Webb caught up with him earlier. Cody's calling Captain America. I said it was more evil than evil on the kit, but either way, I think all the fans back in the States would be happy to see an American make the podium in Harrisburg.
I think he has already got the podium. He was the first to get to podium.
No, he said today. Yeah. Don't want to sell him short here.
So in 2016, Cody was 2nd at Harrisburg, and in 2017 he was 3rd. So 2 podiums for the American. Will he make it a 3rd?
Well, you brought up that injury that he was battling as we take a look at some serious pileup here in Ludo's playground.
Anthony Green there, he's our first junior. Smack bang in the middle of your screen, number 22, just get him off quickly. Alfredo Gomez right behind him. And Michael Bonfer behind Alfredo.
Yeah, and this is what happens when deeper in the field. Just the pileup now. Alfredo Gomez forced to sit and wait, losing valuable time. And Jarvis now watching.
Can you believe shoulders so much time?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, Graham Jarvis has entered the building. Now 12th place, starting from the 2nd row. Just let that marinate for a second. That is the level that Graham Jarvis rides at. He's just meticulous, knocking away one rider after the next. So, yeah, so 48-year-old has taken well over 48 people at this point.
That's incredible. I think he's had to work a lot harder than anybody else to do that, carving through the field. We saw him go down the crossing.
Don't let this, look at that. Don't let the stoic, soft-spoken approach fool you by Graham Jarvis.
I mean, what Alfredo Gomez and Graham Jarvis in the same shots, 2 rows apart.
Well, we've seen Jarvis too in sections like this where it doesn't seem like there's any way around. He'll find he's super crafty when it comes to these tech sections.
Domenico Zawi there just in front of Manny Green. It's a proper traffic jam building up there. So that's the kind of thing, like if Graham wants to get past him, it's almost impossible in that section, so he will be losing time, obviously.
So you look at that chase group all the way, that's where they are back. You've got Johnny Walker, Hart, just behind our 2 leaders, Holt and Leckpickler. Still tightly contested between these 2.
Wade Young in 5th place at the moment. You can see how far back he was. He hasn't dropped into the gravel road yet to go to Carl's dinner, so there's quite a gap that's formed already. But just look at that rebuild.
Yeah, and it kind of forces a discussion that these 2 left unchecked almost impossible to catch, but not when you consider what's ahead of them. Knowing the course, you've had the advantage of looking at a lot of the sections. What could force a little bit of a falter from Manny or Billy at this point?
I think it's all going to come down to Motor X Highway. Track builders have done anything there. We don't know anything about the track, but I've got a suspicion that maybe Motor X Highway might bring us a surprise. They've got a new section after Motor X Highway in the forest. Track builders have done a lot of effort to make a nice line there, and then they're going to go down into the normal Dynamite and Lazy Noon before they head home. Lazy Noon also going to be quite difficult this year. And Manny's just got his eyes on Billy Bolt. He doesn't want the gap to get any bigger than it is now. He's going to try his best to close it up.
Also can't get too reckless, force those mistakes. Try to manage that energy conservation. You can imagine the arms at this point. Talk about some of the things most of these riders are already going through as we're just over the hour mark. Physically, what's happening right now?
Well, if you've made a mistake along the way, then you would have really burned suspense a lot of your... You've only got so much, right? It's in your tank. And as you go through this race, the tank starts getting empty and empty, so you have to conserve your energy. There's Johnny Walker now coming into the frame. He's going to drop down into Carl's dinner.
Just 12 minutes behind for previous winner here, Johnny Walker. Take a look at what is ahead of these riders, course-wise. And Walker, the distance between pitch for Walker. And Walker already passing the highest point of this course, 22 plus miles.
There's Billy going past the Lesnar now. She's our field reporter doing a great job for us down there.
Talking to a lot of the riders yesterday, just how happy they are that temps are not scorching hot. Carl's dinner, when you see those high temps here in Harrisburg, brutal. It adds a whole nother level of exhaustion.
Tristan Hart jumping into the dinner now.
So Tristan Hart just another minute behind Johnny Walker. So Walker gaining a little bit, but Hart staying in step still. Safely to say, a reachable elastic lead that he can reel it in. Watching Ledbeckler trying to stay in pace with Billy Bull. And we're just at the second of 6 stops of the FIM Heart of Your World Championship. Ledbeckler leading the charge, knowing that every stop is vital. But for Ledbeckler, you have to think it's all about trying to go back-to-back, adding your name to the history books, the legend status of doing well here at Airsbury.
I think of the whole calendar, I think everybody's looking, everybody's watching. The most eyes are on Airsbury. The coverage we have here, the cameras we have out to the mountains, it's like no other.
We brought up the trials discussion earlier, but how do you specifically, a race like Airsbury, you hear a lot of people put on, I've been training a lot, I've been doing this. Specifically, you can see a good in-picture. Look at Billy caught in a hole, but how do you train specifically for this type of competition?
The only way to train it is to ride it. So you've got to find terrain that's similar to this, and just keep practicing it. Cardio and gym work is one thing, but if you don't come and ride this kind of stuff, you'll never get good at it.
So a heavy dose of self-punishment.
Yeah, you've got to come this. Absolutely. So Manny's busy watching. You can see the gap. He's trying to see what line he might have taken, but I mean, up here, this is the kind of thing where the riders they have no idea where they're going. They haven't walked it, so
yeah, it really forces your hand on how well versed you are at seeing those lines, having that perspective, the knowledge, that rider IQ.
because in the past, if everybody walked it, they would each throw a rock into a hole, and this is like virgin track. Nobody was allowed to come and walk it. It's purely the track builders that have laid it out. And it's probably 3 times more difficult than it would have been if they thrown some rocks into some of those sections.
Daryl, it's just staggering. You have to be the true Renaissance rider to do well here. All disciplines. You talk about the speed, how fast you have to be at the prologue. There's the technical endurance, the fitness, the legs, upper body. Every single aspect needs to be in check.
I like this because it's the same for everybody. So it really brings out the true talent of each rider and the skill set to be able to manage this and choose the correct line and make the most of it.
And then there's the mental aspect that I think fuels, especially you see it too with the juniors and a lot of the the younger riders, that that mental drive that has to be there. And clearly, Bickler and Bull have it. So 80 minutes of race time so far as both Billy Bull and Manuel Bickler trying to assess one of the most technical sections of Aylesbury. Serving up a good entree portion of humility, as you pointed out. But rows 5 through 10, this was their situation. And as expected, high speeds, carnage, and lots of contact. And very fortunate with the lack of dust on the start with that rain we got last night, Daryl.
And what a great shot we got of the Red Bull helicopter there.
That super slow-mo approach just showing, just coming out of the Coliseum of Carnage, no easy task. And as all those previous, or I should say the following rows start to stack up, it gets that much harder. Just making the top 500 from the 1500 is such a feat in itself.
And these 500, they're going to see how far they can get through the course. A lot of them know already they're not going to make it. And when we have 10 or 20 finishes here in Würzburg,
it's such a story of privateers as well. Yeah, everyone's racing their own race. And with each year, you come back and want to do that much better.
they come here for the festival of madness on this mountain.
Udo's Playground has been a little bit of a decider so far. Saw some pile up with some of our top contenders. Graham Jarvis was entering the conversation. And this is where Graham just shines. Just a technical titan when it comes to navigating boulders. Incredible trials background. But I would say Graham Jarvis, psychologically, he's savage.
So Graham Jarvis just getting out behind Michael Wagner on Udo's Playground. That's the same as with Justin Harcourt stuck. So there's going to be some...
It's that last, yeah, that last big step. And estimating Jarvis about 25 minutes behind our leaders. Bickler and Bull still a very, very tight battle. Still in the midst of Carl's dinner.
25 minutes is a far cry to try and catch these guys unless there's something horrific at the end.
There would have to be a falter, but we've seen everything from mechanical to fatigue. So many things can set in.
The pace of the young guns now is absolutely incredible to see what they're doing here through Carl Dinner. If you go and walk this, Pat, I can't imagine what I can ride through there.
Waist deep, a vortex of just pain and struggle, pure agony.
The two strokes, these are 300s, and the power transitioning to the back wheel, and then put the right rubber on. The loose has to be, which is a solid tube, has to be the right softness, and the tire actually folds around the rocks and maximizes your traction.
They always talk about keeping that momentum and not letting that front tire get caught in a hole, but easier said than done. You also don't want to move too fast.
This is all about being quick. You see how that little pivot really just pivots to the bike quickly. So the back tire is getting the traction, and it's all about your throttle and your clutch control and balance.
Carl's dinner, year after year, serving up full servings of just the cruelty of Carl Katash.
So they're only on the top tier now. They're going back. They've gone all the way down one end. They've turned around. Now they're heading back. And they're going to drop down by double fault again and go along the bottom tier. So
just with that, that's such a draining effect. You'll hear a lot of competitors as they get into Carl's dinner, those lucky enough to make it this far, when they get midway through, they think they're done.
yeah.
And they're like, no, you gotta head back the other way.
I can tell you this is the hardest that I've ever seen the dinner, just looking at it now. And a lot of it's got to do with the fact that there were no rocks packed in between these gaps. This is as raw as it can get. It looks absolutely the most difficult I've ever seen it. And I think the rider will tell the same story when they get back at the end of the day. This is going to suck every little bit of energy out of these riders.
The struggle is real, and especially true for our amateurs. Central Amberg, as always, challenging all the privateers, weekend warriors, doing their best to make it as far in this massive course.
These steep climbs always pull up. Well, the bike shops are going to be okay next week. I think they're going to be all lining up to the new spare parts and plastics and this is a place where guys wait all year and they want to come and do Johannesburg just to see how far they can get through this course.
So do the math here. Last year, 295 out of the 500 made it to Central Amberg. If you make it this far and you look at the face of exhaustion, what within that face is, I'm a moto masochist. I like the pain. I like the struggle. Serve it up. They clearly want it. It is in the heart of everyone of hard enduro enthusiasts out here. They don't want it easy. And by no stretch is it.
So Lawrence Hick from Austria getting out there. It's going to be happy to be out. But he's got a long way to go.
Yeah, and you can see the fan base here just lining Central Amberg, getting first eyes on all these challengers. It looks like Tristan moving into third. Walker now outside the top three with Ray Young in fifth. Some updates from the lead of the pack as we keep eyes on Central Amberg, the rest of the amateur field. Mechanicals, fatigue, everything else setting in, you name it. No pit crews for most.
That's Thomas Hecker from Austria. Having some issues.
And the faces of these amateurs really tell the story.
So back in the day, you used to be able to get a rope up. Remember, they were throwing straps down and pulling the bikes up. So now that's all changed.
Are they getting?
You have to get up under your own steam. There's Tristan Hart now. Body language looks like he's tired.
But Tristan Hart able, we saw Walker was in that third place position, so a little bit of a shift there. We'll have to get eyes on Johnny Walker, see where he's sitting, how close he's in eye shot of Hart. So a lot of momentum for Tristan Hart. Definitely starting to peak at the right time. Trying to build on that momentum.
He's trying to manage his energy levels. He knows he's in a safe podium spot at the moment.
I mentioned the fourth place finish at Metros in Serbia. And there's eyes on our current leader having some difficulties for Billy Bull.
I've honestly never seen Carl Dinner as difficult before. And if it's taking these guys this long to get through, then it's just proof of how brutal it is. This is honestly like a world trial section.
Carl's Dinner, it's a buffet of brutality.
It's ridiculous this year. But 1 hour 31 into this race. 3 hours last year.
It'll be interesting too to see the difference in pace as you look at Manny and Billy working their way through the last section of Carl's Dinner, but on the rest of the field, if they're going to leave any chance for those sitting outside the top four, and another mishap for Bull.
He's not going to be happy with that. And you know, it's so easy to break a lever here, a cleft lever or brake lever can ruin your race. The guys have just really got to conserve the bikes. Try to get through without breaking them.
As you start to zoom in, you see the size of the gaps.
Wade Young on the right-hand side, he's got to go all the way to the end and turn around, and Tristan's already on his way back. So here we can see it's kind of like the gaps in time.
So gaps definitely workable at this point. Eyes back up on Wade Young. What's your take on just body language? What are you seeing from Wade right now?
I think he's looking he's looking pretty good. I know how strong Wade is. He's an absolute animal. He's been training so hard. He's one of the fittest guys in the paddock. But he's just seen there, you know, how far away he is from the rest of the guys, and he knows.
Yeah, what does that do to your psyche when you basically put eyes and you do the math on how far back you are?
Well, it basically tells you how hard you've got to push if you want to make it to the front, and he knows he's got a long way to go. So if I was Wade, I would actually rather look behind me and manage the position behind me rather than what's in front of me.
Wade Young, the youngest ever winner of Roof of Africa, a race that you've had success at. Another brutal race, but he was 16 years old.
And he's been the youngest ever winner of the Roof of Africa.
So we look at the difference between Wade Young right now, 62% of the course complete, and then Billy Bull up there at 65. Just that 3% difference, how far that can set you back, especially when you're eyeing the lines of these boulders. Daunting task for Wade Young. Tristan Hart not stopping for a second, and relentless on his pace.
Looks like he's doing a pretty good job of conserving energy and bike, getting his way through.
Could be 2 straight podium finishes for Tristan Hart. If it were to end right now, so far having a solid season on the FIM Hard Enduro World Championship.
Well on track for his second podium here, that was good.
Really throwing that bike around well as we look at Machine. Section that you brought up more than once, Daryl. You concerned or looking forward to it?
Well, Machine is remember it was the beginning of the no-help zone back in the day. I Oh, Marcel Hirsch is on the machine.
Yeah. So currently at 53rd, matching that of where he finished in the prologue, but everything from Marcel is basically a win in terms of where he is right now. Doing an amazing job.
Yeah, lots of work doing planned out there, rooting for him. I think he's just going to try and see how far he can get around this course. He knows he's not going to finish it. So, yeah. 4 hours to do the course, 1 hour 35 into it. Matt, how many finishes do you think we're going to get today?
Judging by the amount just in cause for that, what's a little kind of daunting is how fast we're at 1:30, hour 36 right now. So it's a little deceiving. It's going to be how much stamina is left in the tank the rest of the field. Ask me that in about an hour.
We're going to have a sub 3 hour finish, but it all depends on those last two sections. Ruddericks Highway, New Forest, uphill, and Lazy Neal. So let's see what the rest of the day delivers. But it's by no means over.
So riders are allowed to help each other. You brought up the grappling hooks in the days of the past.
Yeah,
A little different story.
And also no chase bikes. So the mechanic, for example, will come to the back lane and like we used to and chase after the rider. That's all driven out. And line pointing, that's been a big thing in the past. And that's not allowed.
When we were talking about the height of Cody Weck, he's got that long reach. Definitely probably an asset. For sure, 5'6", so a little bit more challenging, especially when you get into those holes.
Yeah. When you're climbing up those tall climbs and those rocky like that, the legs have definitely got a huge advantage.
So a good look at our zone here. Carl's Dinner with the leading group, chasing group of Hart, Walker, Young. So a tight battle for that third place between Walker, Hart, and Young. As we got eyes on Billy Bolton, current leader, as our own Paul Bolton, our intrepid Paul Bolton in the field. Jump on the Bolt cam. You can't.
Billy's bike's looking nice, tyres looking good, things on the bike, no damages that I can see right now. And we can see way down there, Manuel Becker is coming across. Carl's died at number 3. And Billy is literally 100 metres to the finish of Carl's Dinner.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, you can't stop Bolt's excitement. But great reporting, Bolt's. Great perspective there. It really puts it into perspective when you look at the distance. And 40 yards, 50 yards doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're dealing with terrain like this, it can be a lifetime.
Yeah, that's a good couple of minutes. Johnny Walker. Not quite sure where he is on Carl's Dinner. We'll get some perspective just now. Johnny in fourth.
Trying to really Tristan Hart. There was some great back and forth with Walker and Hart.
Johnny will do anything to get on the podium again now, so he's going to hunt Tristan Hart down. Better than his wits about him. Because here comes Johnny Walker.
Really being deliberate, taking his time, really no other choice. This section takes so much out of the bike, out of the rider. Trying to lead into checkpoint 23.
So Johnny was also the youngest ever winner at 21 years old at Würzburg. And he went on to win it in 2012, 2014, 2015.
Yeah, there was the crazy multiple year. We had a handful of people.
And also plagued by lots of injuries. Maybe he broke his leg.
So good chance chance to take a look at where we are on this massive, fast course here. Look at that leading group of Bolton, Lettbichler, and Hart, Walker, and Young just behind. And to take note, Hart, Walker, Young still have a lot of ground to navigate through Carl's Dinner. Air, it doesn't look like out of Pike and Ryder. Billy Bull.
He's out of Carl's Dinner now. He's going into the last bit of forest at the end. And he's going to make his way down to Motorix Highway. So it seems like it's so far into the course. It's almost like he's got the win in the bag, but he mustn't forget there's some really, really hard sections coming.
To tell out here because the gaps look big or small, but you can't tell because it's so difficult to get through.
So we had a little bit of hot air. Okay.
He's gone.
Thanks, Bolts. So we'll continue to check in with Paul Bolton. He'll be in the trenches throughout the race. Young trying to pull in Walker. Hart still holding on to third. So a contentious pack. Trying to chase down Lettbichler and Bull, but they've been at a relentless pace.
So in 2013, Wade was the youngest finisher of Luxembourg. It's the many people a year later. And he was 16. And then Wade's best finisher at Luxembourg is fourth. He's got two fourths, a fifth, sixth, and a seventh.
What you know, Wade, where's he at mentally right now? Under factor drive, is it all there?
I think in an all-time high. I think he's riding incredibly well, and he's super fit. He's had a couple of issues in the last year, but yeah, he looked super excited about Pittsburgh, the lead up to it and everything else. Super well prepared, but you know, you throw this terrain at anybody, and he's doing a great job. He's still running fourth.
And a quick look back on course with some of the AMs, Privateers, Weekend Warriors. Trying to tackle Machine. 11th checkpoint of 27. Sometimes you can really see a discernible difference between the sports top riders and the amateurs.
Yeah, this is where you already start seeing the big differences.
In terms of finesse, able to work through these sections.
Simon Kuss from Poland, already 3. You don't take anything away from these riders. To get this far already, you know, all the pro sections and everything that they've done, most riders won't get you. I mean, they've done exceptionally well to get this far.
Just the persistency of these privateers, these amateurs, just staggering. Doggedness. So one by one, trying to work their way through the machine. 1 hour 45 on the clock so far. Take a look from above, and the rest of the pack as we go into that next section. Just a handful of challenges for our leaders.
So this is a great shot of the crossing. And this one is really, really difficult to get up. It's a little bit like Central Monberg. And you can see the guys there jamming up that top parts. It's really, really difficult to get out here. If you remember a couple of years ago, Billy got it wrong in his first time up in the main race, and he had to go back down. You've got to hit it absolutely perfect at the bottom, second gear pinned, maybe shift up into third, and keep your momentum up all the way out, otherwise you're going to be doing this and having to run back down.
So what's your instant takeaways of course so far? Nice balance being set. You mentioned in terms of Carl's Dinner, maybe one of the more difficult lines that we've seen ever in that section.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to cater for the riders at the moment, to get that balance right. I think it's a good move that they haven't seen the track. It's fair for everybody, but it's super hard for them to gauge the level. How hard do they make it? And we're always scared that they make it too difficult and they make it impossible for the riders. Then it takes all the fun and excitement out of it again. So, I mean, I would hate to be a race organizer at the moment to try and set the level that they need for the World Championship.
And what about this? You see, two friends, two AMs helping out one another. Maybe talk about the passion, the dedication needed to ride, at the amateur level.
Well, not really just at amateur level. I mean, if you get to a hard enduro race, we've seen it before where the guys all help each other get through a section. The camaraderie in that is what draws us together as off-road and dirt bikers across all the different disciplines. Good people, great friendships are formed here, and that's really what it's all about. And when you're on the track, everybody wants to beat each other, so there's a great level of competition again when you put your friendship aside.
When we talk about the equalizer, Carl's Dinner, it's a great visual here where you can see two riders, two different lines.
There's Graham Jarvis coming into our screen now, and we just saw Johnny Walker coming back on the left-hand side at the bottom of our screen. And I think that's Alzawi. That's Alzawi riding with Graham Jarvis at the moment.
Yeah, and if Alzawi's smart, he'll just stick on Jarvis's line.
Yeah, I'm certainly impressed by Alzawi at the moment, managing to stay with Graham here. And there's Alfredo Gomez just behind Alzawi. And Cody Webb is in the middle of our screen at the top, and Theodore Kabachev is just ahead of Cody. So this is a duel.
6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 nestled in Carl's Dinner right now. And able to take advantage on who's in front of you, trying to avoid those holes.
That's Theodore in the frame right now.
Theodore showing incredible strength just outside of the top 5 for the moment.
He's winning a lot of races all over the world. In 2022, he won the Uncle Hard Enduro in Indonesia, he won the Panorama Hard Enduro in Romania, and he won the Sierra Hard Enduro in Mexico. So a young kid that's really been traveling a lot and got some incredible results.
There's still some time here for Cody Webb, a big task to catch up to our leaders. He's found the podium here before.
He hasn't been at Würzburg for a couple of years, and he had the knee surgery last year. He was 10 months off. He's a dad. He's been racing for 27 years. And he was third in the 2023 World Super Enduro Championship, so Cody's been doing a lot of that.
The silent assassin, Graham Jarvis, so badly wants to find the podium again at Harrisburg at 48 years old. Twice the age of our leaders.
This is the start of Motor X Highway, so we're expecting the guys any minute to come in. Billy Bolt will be here first.
This is where you've gone on record saying, I'm not sure what type of a gauntlet is going to be delivered here by course setters.
Yeah, I can already see quite a lot of bunting over there, and there's Billy. He's already in Motor X Highway. Bunting type can do a lot of things. You think you're going to go one way, and then like we saw last year, where they sent the guys off left up that steep bank, it can change the race completely. But he's got a gap on Manny here. There's Manny entering as well. Manny's managed to close the gap a little bit. So what's in store for us? I think this is the critical part of the race for me.
When you look at the distance between the two, between Lettenbichler and Bull, definitely surmountable for Lettenbichler to pull in Bolt, but Bolt is showing no signs of slowing down. He knows with the likes of Manny on his tail, one falter spelled the difference in the top spot.
Everybody fighting for that crown, being the hard enduro world champion, and this race is worthy of the championship.
Some great aerial footage here of Motorex Highway. You mentioned just the Herculean effort of our production team. 27 cameras, a heli cam, the drone cam really getting in nice and close at a massive, a vast course here. And 1,000 frames per second off the line.
Paul Terrace in the center of the big 700.
Almost looks, I don't know, bigger in slow-mo. Does it not? It's a beast. Or maybe Paul Terrace himself looks bigger.
The combination of the two, what he does on that bike is just mind-blowing. That's to show us how steep these downhills are. They are absolutely mental. You know, everybody, they have a look, and then when they get to their first earthquake, they're like, oh, we have no idea these times are so steep. I'm like, yeah.
Well, what used to constitute a good hill for, say, a Widowmaker hill climb is now just one of many here in the
Like no other. Hard enduro delivers every time on point.
We talk about needing every moto tool in the toolbox here to do well. As we jump over to Motorex Highway, Bolt and Lettenbichler still battling it out, getting
For glory, but I'm not too sure what they've done at the top of Motorex Highway. Get a better shot just now. But that looks like pressed terrain down there to me.
yeah, clearly
The riders haven't been up here. They've been bunted off to the right.
the fact that Bolt is taking time. And see right behind him, Lettenbichler in picture. But being this patient, obviously what's ahead of him is no easy task.
I'm just hoping that this section is going to be rideable, that the guys are going to be able to get up and over on their own. As you can see by the gradient there, really trying to get up. He hasn't got much traction up there. It's wet and slippery in the forest, or in that piece there.
Well, first half.
And I have to say that more and more riders that go through there, that's going to get cut up. It's going to become more and more difficult to get over. First bikes are always a little bit easier.
You always speculate, what is Billy best at? Chasing Lettenbichler or having Lettenbichler chase him? Yeah. Just want to point out, hour and 17 minutes, Billy Bolt was leading that back and forth that they had.
Yeah, I can see he's tired there, so that effort that he used now to push his bike over, heart rate's pumping, jumping out of the rib cage. He's going to want to try to get his heart rate down a little bit. But
So out of vision was Lettenbichler obviously taking a crack at this next section. So wow,
insane.
making it look way too easy, Lettenbichler.
So it looked to me when Manny was down the bottom there, he just rested for a bit and let his heart rate come down. Because there's nothing worse than tackling a new section, your heart rate's high. It's so easy to make a mistake.
But Lettenbichler so good at figuring out these lines, that two-wheel wisdom.
Billy coasting his bike. Not quite there. Or he's either going to come back and do it again. I think he will.
Physical fatigue at this point has to be setting in. known for his fortitude. Still in second, trying to keep Wagner in sight and reachable. Motorex Highway serving up quite the challenge. Here we go.
I'm not going to make it. This reminds me of what happened in 2022. Similar thing happened. And the more bikes that try to go up here, then the more difficult it's going to become.
And to me there, to watch Manny, the ease that he navigated.
But he's going to push his way around. He's got it. He's done it.
Here, a handful of fans.
But when he's struggling like that, Manny made it look easy. He wanted the race of the guys.
Resolution of this rider, so impressive. Just what it takes to flip that bike around on this pitch.
Okay, so he's just going to take a minute just to get his heart rate down a little bit. Grabbing a glue off the bar there, just getting some sustenance.
Where would you say his mindset? I mean, having that lead for as long as he did, what does he have to do right now mentally?
I think the most important thing is to get his heart rate down a little bit and just keep his composure. There's still that next forest section coming up. We said it will be a lot more difficult if it rained, and it has rained, so I don't know. There's Michael Wagner now on the screen. Switching back to Carl's dinner.
Yep, Wagner still inside the top 10. Austria's great hope in hard enduro, Michael Wagner, has found the finish. Just when you think you're past a section, you go back deeper into the pack, and the struggle continues for the rest of the field.
And the guys piling up on the machine again.
For Wagner, the whole machine is a distant memory.
Lucas Spinelli on our left. And then we got Christian Petrov from Bulgaria on the right, number 115. Yes, I think definitely the sting in the tail, Motorex Highway. It's shown us that it's not over till it's over, but you know, the rest of the guys when they get there, I think it's going to be really quite a lot looser, and it's going to be really difficult for them to get through.
Well, I think it speaks to the importance of keeping that distance that is still considered elastic. The fact that Manny was able to catch Billy like that, and where he caught him, and then the pass was so pivotally clutch.
The turning point there was for Manny to get to clean those two sections, and we'll see what kind of gap he's earned from that now. Johnny Walker currently in fourth, in Carl's dinner. What do you make of Johnny coming back to Earthwork and doing so well?
I mean, having him in the booth last time was such a treat, but clearly this is where we like to see him. He, talking to him this week, he, was, I think, intentionally slightly dismissive, and he's saying, not 100%, but I even think, physically, if you're coming off that injury, the injury reserve list, he's proven he has all the wherewithal and all the mettle to do well here. He's, I don't know if you're Johnny Walker at 85%, no matter. But
and Johnny also finished second behind Billy in 2023 World Superhero Championship, so he's got what it takes.
So just past the halfway point of our allotted 4 hours to decide 2023. There's their champion, Manuel Lettenbichler, out front.
This is coming out of the top of Motorex Highway, so he's got a quite a bit of off-camber stuff here to do, and then he's going to head back down to the road, and he's going to start the new forest section.
And what is the trick when you're dealing with that double fall line, especially if it's on a climb? How do you find that catch?
The off-camber?
Yeah.
Well, just to wait your left foot back